Hey, welcome to episode 16 of the Beautiful Minds podcast. Yes, this is episode 16, not counting any of the Millennial Perspective episodes. Today's episode is with Ben Pousty, co-founder of Project Phil, a 501c3 nonprofit organization that works very closely with children in the Philippines. They have programs. They have two main programs, and you'll hear about it in our episode. One more for education, and the other for food, clothing, and medicine. Ben and I met a few months ago. We stayed in contact since then, and he has actually helped me with all of my marketing efforts. Not all of my marketing efforts, but he's been a very good and reliable source to bounce off ideas, as well as personal aspirations and goal setting as well. He took time out one day, sat down with me, and even had me let him know what it was I was trying to do with my life, and gave me an outside perspective. So I knew that he was working on this very personal project, and I knew I had to have him on and get his insight and have him put us into his shoes for a little bit and see what it's like to start a nonprofit from the ground up, as well as what was his personal goal, what was his personal connection to Project Phil. So without further ado, please welcome Ben Pousty.
You're listening to the Beautiful Minds podcast.
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 The Beautiful Minds podcast with Marlon Dundas.
All right, welcome to episode 16 of the Beautiful Minds podcast. I'm on with Ben Pousty, co-founder of Project Phil. Ben is a very good guy, all-around awesome individual, awesome person, beautiful soul. I met him through a mutual friend, I want to say 6 months ago. It was 6 months ago, because I want to say April, May, one of those. Ben, since then, we were working on starting Project Phil at the time, right? And I understand that over this past summer, you officially received your 501c3 license for Project Phil?
Yes, we did.
All right. Why don't you go ahead and tell everyone what Project Phil is? And introduce yourself as well, I'm sorry.
Sure. So, as Marlon said, co-founder of Project Phil with my beautiful wife, Kathy. Mm-hmm. So Project Phil is a nonprofit organization that educates, feeds, and cares for underprivileged families and students in the Philippines. Mm-hmm. We have two different programs. The first is an education program that centers around scholarships. So what we do is we give high-achieving public high school students in the Philippines full scholarships to attend great private high schools. And our pledge to our students is that once you get into the Project Phil scholarship program, we're going to support you from the point at which you entered. So typically, we look for students that are entering 7th to 12th grade, mm-hmm. and we're going to support you straight through to college. So we want to see you get fully educated and graduate high school. It's very important to us. Mm-hmm. Right now in the Philippines, there is quite a bit of overcrowding in the public schools, and I think this is something that really, if we're able to do this right, will provide a lot of opportunity for quality education to mm-hmm. kids that deserve it. Mm-hmm. The second aspect of Project Phil is a health and hunger program, and what we do there is we support families with care packages that contain food, personal hygiene supplies, healthcare products, and over-the-counter medicines, as well as host some really cool social events for these underserved communities, allowing families to come out with their kids and get a great hot meal, mm-hmm. And just spend some time, within the community having a great day. And we're going to be hosting our first social event actually in February, mid-February in Pasay City in Manila.
I'm back in the Philippines.
That's right.
Oh wow, okay. And we'll get into that event later on, I'm pretty sure. But I wanted to ask you, I understand. I read the short blurb on the projectphil.org site, speaking about how Project Phil was consummated, the idea behind the organization. Can you go into that? As I know there was a trip that was involved, and you guys were exposed. You and your wife were exposed to just the hardships that a lot of children are going through over there. You want to go into that first, please?
Sure. So really the inspiration for Project Phil has been my wife, Kathy. Kathy's a first-generation Filipino-American. Both her parents came over in the late 70s. So Kathy's actually been going back to the Philippines for over a decade doing charitable work there. So she's been doing medical missions all over the country. And she's also kind of met a lot of really great people through these medical missions, a lot of really hardworking people that are living in poverty, raising children. And, there's kind of seeing the struggle, I was lucky enough to join her. And we went and did a medical mission together, and it was really great, very eye-opening experience. We got to kind of see what it looks like on the ground, and really meet. And I got the opportunity for the first time to really meet a lot of the people that we are now looking to service with Project Phil. And
Right.
When we got back, we had done some fundraising for our trip. And we raised a couple $1,000s that we used to support the medical mission and help kind of strengthen one of the private schools out there
Right.
that we're working with.
Okay.
And when we got back, we kind of asked ourselves, what can we do to do more?
Right.
And that's when the idea of Project Phil started to come together.
For those of you who are listening, Ben's background is in marketing, and if you look at visit the projectphil.org website, you do an amazing job of mapping out your personal interaction with the Philippines and Project Phil itself, right? So the story of you and your wife are well represented on that site, whether it be through pictures, through storyboard. And it's pretty awesome. So check it out. It's definitely something that I think that for someone who has his own site, I'm a little bit jealous of the layout of it. So you guys outdid yourself there. Now with Project Phil, this is something that is not, how do I put it? When you start something so personal, because it has to be personal, right? You're not in it for the money. So what? Can you look at one, if any, moment where it really hit you and you were like, holy bleep, like this is, we have to do something here?
Yeah, I'm also a first generation American, and like my wife and I think we share that. Our parents basically left everything in their home countries, everything that they knew and that was familiar to them and dear to them, to come to America and start a new life, right? And they've given us a wonderful opportunity here. Both of us have been able to, kind of grab this opportunity and run with it, and we've done fine for ourselves. And you get to a point where you just want to give back, and you want to really share. You want to share what you've been able to accomplish, and give other people the opportunity to accomplish something similar. And that is a huge driver for us, is leveling the playing field, providing opportunity where there once was not as much opportunity.
Right.
And I think the Philippines for us is really special. It's very special for my wife. It's become very special for me. We go there often. And helping the people there, it's kind of a unique situation there, right? So when we were out there earlier this year, you see a lot of projects, like a lot of philanthropic projects that are kind of getting off the ground there, and they're doing a lot of good. It's a country that's really been lifted up over the last 25 years by all the great economic growth within Southeast Asia. But the similar story goes that a lot of that wealth is being concentrated at the top, right? So the average person, while the life of the average person is obviously better than it was 25 years ago, people are still struggling out there. That economic growth hasn't hit everybody. So to give you a sense, I started doing a little bit of research, and you find that 25% of the Filipino population still lives in poverty. You see that the average income that an average Filipino family brings in a day is $10 a day. Right.
That's incredible.
and then you kind of relate that back to what does $10 mean to us here in the States, and that was an eye-opening stat for us. You know, if we have a lot of really wonderful friends and family. There's a lot of great people here. There's a great philanthropic community here in New York City, and we felt like it's a wonderful opportunity to kind of get the story out to the people, to our friends and family and the people in this community, and see what we can do as far as raising more money to really make a difference out there and really spread opportunity.
So when you got back to the States after that trip, when was this trip, by the way, the one that really made you propelled you to start Project Phil?
It was actually, it was earlier this year in February.
This year, yep. Okay. So that's shortly before we met, actually.
Yes.
Wow. So when you came back, what was the first step? How do you get it off the ground? Whether it be an idea, did you pitch it to someone and they gave you the go ahead, or not the go ahead, but did they reinforce your feelings at the time, or what happened when you got back to the States?
Sure. So we got back. It was mid-February. Shortly after, I was actually laid off from my job, and which ended up kind of being like a blessing in disguise, which suddenly freed up a lot of time for me to do other things.
Funny how things happen, right? Yeah.
Right. And my wife and I always like to think of that moment as kind of fate. So after that happened, I had a lot more time to kind of explore this idea of starting a nonprofit organization. I'd always wanted to get more involved in the nonprofit space. I'd always donated to a lot of different causes and supported a lot of my friends' causes, but I really wanted the opportunity to build something, and everything kind of just came together in that moment. I had a lot more time on my hands. I put in the application to get incorporated in New York State just on a whim, and started talking about this idea with some of my with a former coworker of mine who was a graphic designer, Aaron O'Donnell, who actually is the creative director now for Project Phil. So a lot of that design and the website, that's all her.
All right.
So big shout out
to
Aaron. Good job. So her and I started kind of bouncing this idea around with my wife, and slowly we started kind of branching out and putting this idea out to some other actually former coworkers of mine. Marissa Millman, who is a lawyer, so she's on our board now and is our legal lead. Kim Petrie, accountant, she's our CFO, and Beatrice O'Carroll, who's just an awesome ambassador for Project Phil. And we all kind of started working in building this thing out, building this idea out, and structuring the company. And there's some setbacks along the way. A couple of there's always going to be some setbacks, some challenges, some obstacles that you face when you're like incorporating a company and building something and kind of creating a vision. But block by block, we kind of built this thing out, and it's we got our 501c3, like you mentioned, about a month and a half ago, and I kind of validated everything.
Right. Till November is a National Nonprofit Awareness Month, or a nonprofit month, not awareness, but and I was speaking with the founder of Purposefully Pretty, which is Jamaica Queens based nonprofit, a few months ago, and she was telling me that the fact that they are a nonprofit, and a lot of times the nature of a nonprofit is such that you don't really make money from it, and especially starting at the grassroots level or the ground level, where money should not be on the forefront of your mind if you want to make it successful. It's important to have a team of people who share your hopes and your dreams for your organization. Can you speak about your team? You refer to your team there. How much do they play a part in your ability to propel Project Phil to what it is today?
Yeah, we have a great team that is out there kind of supporting the vision that my wife and I kind of put out there. Right. We're a pretty close knit team. So we're a small team, and that's by design. Before we kind of, it's important to us to kind of build a strong base right now. So that's why we've arranged our first fundraiser, which has been a kind of a full team effort. Our first fundraiser is going to be on December 9th in New York City. So that's kind of been what the team has been working on now. And that's going to be an opportunity to really galvanize like our base. We have a lot of people that donated to us last year when we took our trip. We have a lot of people within our circles that are very enthusiastic about charitable giving, and that we've been able to get excited about this event. And everyone's kind of pulling their weight and kind of providing their own area of subject matter expertise, which is obviously super important when you're building a nonprofit, is to get legal expertise, get accounting expertise onto your board. It's a great way to kind of leverage the people that you know and the expertise that people have, as opposed to going out and outsourcing that type of work, which can be really expensive, and that really allows you to then put the money and your time and effort really back into the nonprofit.
And I'm pretty sure that you can also rest assured, knowing these people personally, that their hearts are where yours are when it comes to Project Phil too. Now they seem the 501c3 was it licensed, right? Non-profit license or
So it's a federal tax exemption. So you have to apply.
It seems like that's often looked at as a monkey off your back.
Yeah.
How strenuous is that process? Because this is not the first time I've heard about it being like,
sure,
we finally got that. We finally got it. What's that like?
So it varies, and actually, really have to commend the federal government, the IRS, on this one. About 3 or 4 years back, they actually created 2 different designations for a 501c3. So you fill out Form 1023, and in the past, every nonprofit that entered the space, whether they were large or small, had to fill out one form. It was Form 1023. And it was about 25 pages long. About 2014, 2015, they actually created a variant of that form. It's called Form 1023EZ, which is for nonprofits that are looking to raise less than $50,000 in years 1 through 3.
Okay.
And what's nice is that we're a smaller nonprofit, and we kind of fit those criteria. And that was a much quicker form. So it's 3 pages. It's online. Obviously, Marissa and Kim, with their legal and accounting backgrounds, were very helpful in reviewing and making sure that everything that we were entering was proper, or they were submitting was proper. But I'll tell you, that form, this Form 1023EZ, has made it a lot easier for people that have a smaller vision, a more niche nonprofit vision, to enter the space and create an organization that's tax exempt, that allows you to offer donors tax-deductible donations, which is a huge selling point, obviously. And, to your point, it really validates you as a serious professional nonprofit organization.
Right. And I know a lot of people who don't donate to larger nonprofits. They rather donate to local nonprofits and smaller nonprofits as well too. So, being able to get that designation will allow you then to do much more in the community around you, as opposed to being one of those larger umbrella.
Right. And it's actually given, to your point, it's given rise. So this easier process, this more streamlined process for getting the 501c3 has really given rise to a lot more grassroots philanthropic organizations that now feel empowered to kind of move forward and really get into the space in a more serious manner by getting your 501c3 designation. So it's been really great, and I agree. Yeah, I'm a big fan of grassroots philanthropy, and a lot of the great philanthropic organizations out there right now, like Pencils of Promise and Charity Water, they were once small grassroots operations that just grew organically. So those are big inspirations for me, actually.
What now? I came to this country when I was 9 years old, and the perspective that I gained from coming here and being exposed to a different way of living made me appreciate the ability for me to sit in a classroom, or the opportunity for me to sit in a classroom and learn with the newest and latest technology, or with the best and brightest minds, or with being taught by well-educated professionals. What perspective did your trip to the Philippines impart on you, and what the children there, what potential do you see that they have, especially given that they have a lot less to work with?
Sure. And that's a great question. So yeah, education's obviously been a huge part of my life. It was something that my parents stressed. They stressed as priority one throughout my life. And the main reason why they moved here was because of the great school system in the United States, right? Mm-hmm. So when we went to the Philippines, there's a specific school that we're actually working with. It's in Bulacan region, about 2.5 hours outside of Manila. And actually, there's a great story behind this. So my wife's friend's mother is a very accomplished surgeon here in the United States. She was born in the Philippines and moved here to do her, to kind of further her career. She retired and went back to the Philippines, and she saw that this school in Bulacan region where she grew up, a once prominent private school, had really kind of, it was in kind of a state of disrepair. It once had about 750 students, and now it only had 250 students. So she kind of started looking into it and realized there was some corruption going on within the school and the school board. And she actually was very proactive. Her and her husband took a seat on the board, and within 7 years, they had flushed out all of the corrupt elements, took over the school, and brought in her cousin, Maribel Gaite, who is actually our partner in Project Phil, brought her in to oversee the school and kind of be the CEO of the school. Over the last 7 years, the school has gone from 200 students servicing K through 10 to 825 students servicing K through 12.
Oh, wow.
And the transformation has been both with so the volume of students they're able to take on, but also the school has just she's been able to really do a great job with fundraising, and the school has really transformed into this wonderful learning center. They're able to have they have computer labs now where they once did not. Right. They're building athletic fields for students to kind of have after school programs and things to do. They have a new science lab, which one of our initiatives last year was to help furnish their new science lab with microscopes the students can use. But they've done all this wonderful work. And the students there are all, there's about 40% of the school are students that have the means to attend a private school, and their parents send them to private schools. But really about half the students there are either subsidized by the government or subsidized by donors. Okay. And we kind of realized in talking to them that their scholarship program was a bit underfunded, and that was where we thought we could really make a difference. So what my wife and I actually did 2 years ago, we got 10 of our own scholars. So we sponsored scholarships for 10 students there. We've now sponsored these scholarships for 2 years and met all of those students earlier this year. And they're great. I mean, these are really, really bright kids who really excelled in the public school setting. Right. They get basically there's a series of tests that are taken in the Philippines, and the 6th grade test is a big entrance exam that kind of is a benchmark for these students. And the way that the school operates is they go and they look for these high achieving public school students that have a lot of potential, and they find ways to work with their families to subsidize their education so they can get a private school education because they have a lot of potential. Mm-hmm. So we have these 10 students, and we have kids that want to be psychologists and artists and doctors and engineers, and they're about as smart and hardworking and dedicated, and it's just a different type of hustle, man. Mm-hmm. We take a lot of things for granted here. They take nothing for granted. These kids are, on point, working hard to excel and take advantage of this opportunity. We were just so impressed by their focus and their drive and variance. That was a huge inspiration for us to really focus our program on education as our flagship program, and then build out from there.
Do you think this is a question that just came up in the back of my mind? Do you think the reason why these children are so in tuned or so focused is because the end goal, the end result of what a substantial education can do for you is reinforced and always in the back of their mind, or is there something else? That's what I think. Coming from my background, was that what really set me apart from a lot of my peers was that I always kept in the back of my mind why I'm doing what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Is that the same case? Did Do you notice any particular reason as to why it is that the focus is much more strong?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's a product of the fact that they see an opportunity they've been given, right? There's a lot of people in their socioeconomic bracket that don't have this opportunity to go to a private school. And they know that if their grades drop or if they're not showing, the same type of progress, their scholarship might get pulled. And it's a different situation than your parents send you to a school and they're funding you, because you know that, obviously, students will excel in that environment as well, but you know that your parents are going to fund you to college, right? They're gonna fund you, and you're going to get your high school education. You're going to graduate, whether you get great grades or bad grades. For these students, they know that if their grades drop, there's someone else waiting to take that scholarship slot, right? So I think that drives them a little bit more than the rest of the students there, for sure.
Right, they're competitive all the way throughout. Now you have 2 events coming up. So mainly, the first and foremost is the one in December, and that's your big, would that be your red carpet event essentially? Right, you're rolling out Project Phil to the world.
Yeah, there won't be a red carpet, but So it's our launch fundraiser. This is kind of the event that we've been building towards. It's going to be December 9th in Manhattan at Winston and Bloom. Up on 27th and 3rd. You can get all the information about it on our Facebook page or at projectphil.org on our website.
In the description anyway. Yeah,
that's great. Yeah. It should be a fun event. It's about 3 hours. We're gonna have there'll be food, drink. There'll be an awesome raffle where we're going to be raffling off Knicks tickets, really awesome fitness prizes, restaurant dining experiences.
Karaoke.
What's that?
Karaoke.
So there'll be karaoke. We'll be raffling off a drone.
Wow.
What else could you ask for, right?
Yeah.
So it should be a good time, and all the proceeds from the event are going to go towards our scholarship program.
That's
my wife and I,
100% of the proceeds, right?
100%. Yeah. So my wife and I are fully sponsoring the night. This is like our dream kind of kickoff event, and all ticket sales will go towards our goal for 2018, which is to send 35 high-achieving public school students living in poverty in the Philippines to a private high school, and then kind of start the process of getting them into our scholarship program and funding them hopefully through their high school graduation.
So let me reiterate that. Ben and his wife are funding the entire night. They're financing the entire night, and every single dime of all proceeds generated from the event goes right into Project Phil. That's incredible. Y'all did yourself a little bit there. Now, the second event, you said it's in February?
Yeah, so this event is going to it's going to be in the Philippines. It's going to be our kickoff for our health and hunger program. So we're going to be on February 17th in Pasay City. We're going to be hosting a brunch for the community. So this is going to be the kickoff for our health and hunger program, where we're going to be supporting 20 families. So we're going to get to meet the families for the first time. These are people actually, Vicky Soretta, who is our program director for the health and hunger program, actually someone that we met on the medical mission earlier this year that had all these great ideas. And now she's working with us. We're helping her kind of execute her program at a higher level. So a little background on her. She's actually been working in this community now for two or 3 years, supporting about 20 families, just her and her husband, which is pretty amazing. And, now we're kind of giving her a little bit of like a fundraising engine to really kind of take it to the next level. So on the 17th, we'll kick off with a social event where we're going to do a birthday for everybody, for all the kids. So there'll be a brunch. There's going to be gifts, gift giving, which will be really fun. Because a lot of these kids, they don't really celebrate the form. They don't get gifts on their birthdays. Their families are much more concerned about kind of putting food on the table than giving out gifts. So we're going to take some of the donations that we've already raised to kind of put towards some gifts, some food, nice community event, and visit with the families. And then we have some volunteers in the Philippines who, over the course of the year, will be handing out care packages to the families that give them some non-perishable foods and over-the-counter medicines that they need, and personal health and hygiene products that kind of support them on a quarterly basis and allow them to have a little bit more comfort so that they can focus their efforts on family building and getting their kids in school and finding a job and all the things that are necessary to live a great life.
I feel like we didn't really get into the health and hunger program too much. Is there any way that other people on the outside can contribute, where they can clothes, food, anything like that? Is there any way we can donate?
Yeah, so for the health and hunger, we're going to actually be doing a fundraiser out in Detroit in April, which will be specifically focused on that event, on that program. But we're always looking for clothes, books, any items that would be helpful, that people no longer really need. But things like shoes and clothes are always welcome, and those are items that are always in need out there.
How do we reach out to you, in what way?
Yeah, so you can contact us through our website. All the information is there. It's a contact form. There's also our direct emails. So feel free to reach out to us, and we can always organize a pickup, which is no problem on our end. And that's the website's the best way.
Got you. Is there anything else we missed before we got out of here? I think you pretty much gave us a well-rounded introduction to Project Phil. But is there anything else I'm missing?
No, I mean,
Right now we're just working on it.
I think right now it's just, visit our website, www.projectphil.org, to learn more about what we're doing. And you can even make a tax-deductible donation right online there. And follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And, we'll keep you guys updated on what we're doing.
Okay. And for all those mediums, all those social media platforms, is at Project Phil?
So it's at Project Phil PH on Instagram and Twitter, and you should be able to just search for Project Phil, and you'll see our icon. There's no other Project Phils out there, fortunately, which is nice.
So thank you so much for coming through, Ben. I find this to be a pretty amazing organization, especially because I know you personally as well. And it's remarkable that you are funding your event in December all solely through your own efforts, and then 100% of all proceeds again are going directly into Project Phil and their operations, and directly into the scholarships for these amazing, inspirational children in the Philippines. So, thank you for coming through, Ben.
Thanks, Marlon.
And we'll be back probably next week. I'm not sure yet, but anyways, we'll get into that later. Thank you so much, Ben. And this is episode 16 of the Beautiful Minds podcast. I'm your host, Marlon Dundas. That was episode 16 of the Beautiful Minds podcast with Ben Pousty, co-founder of Project Phil. Don't forget to follow them on all social media streams. It'll be in the description of this episode. And also don't forget to check out their event happening on December 9th. He's put a lot of thought, a lot of effort into that event, and I still can't get over putting all of his money into the event, and then having 100% of the proceeds go to the kids. I think that's incredibly selfless. He and his wife are amazing people. I haven't met her yet, but I would love to meet her as well, because both of them, I believe, personally, they're what you want to aspire to be as a human being. So thank you, Ben, for coming by and spending your time with us. And thank you all for listening. We'll be back, I want to say, in a week or so with another episode. And don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and share. Please share these episodes with people in your network. I would love to get this message out there to as many people as possible. I try to speak to a lot of great minds, and people like Ben been allowing me to pick their brain and pretty much just record it. So thank you for listening. This is episode 16, and this is Marlon Dundas, your host of the Beautiful Minds podcast.